Hi everyone, my name's Anthony Cummins. Now I want to welcome you to this video, and I'm going to say I'm doing this video as my final line, my final step in the discussion, is ninjutsu a martial art? Now I didn't start this discussion, it was started a long time ago, probably in about 1968 by Fujita Seiko in, I think he's referenced in Black Belt magazine. However, the argument or the discussion was very much underground, or very much only whispered by a very few people until about 2008, when I took up the banner, if you like, and I went fully against the concept of is ninjutsu a martial art. And since about 2008, I've been pushing and pushing heavily to force people to change their opinion on whether ninjutsu is a martial art or not. The reason is, as I will explain in this video, not because I want you all to share my opinion, because I want you to share the truth. Now, the reason I've done this video, I wasn't actually originally going to do this video, I was going to leave it. However, not a couple of hours ago, I saw the latest video from Krista, or one of her videos, and while I don't wholeheartedly disagree with what she says in the videos, it gives the wrong impression. And I want to give some facts, okay? So, but however, this is not really a response to Krista's video, or more a response to the entire argument, so that whenever this comes up again in conversation, I can just link this video and say, that's my opinion. Alright, so let's go from there. So, what is the discussion? Right, the discussion is, the question is always, is ninjutsu a martial art? Right? And what happens is you get two schools of thought. No, ninjutsu is not a martial art, or yes, ninjutsu is a martial art. However, no, ninjutsu is not a martial art is just one group of people that all agree that ninjutsu does not appear as a specialized hand-to-hand combat used by ninjas in the period of ninja history. The other group that say yes fall into two brackets. They fall into the yes, it's hand-to-hand, it's a specialized form of hand-to-hand fighting. Stephen Hayes is one of these, Masaki Atsumi is one of these, you know, basically the what's called the Takamatsu Den. That's what their entire system is sort of based on, and of course they stick to that, that's fine. The other group, the other section of this group who say ninjutsu is a martial art are people that say the term martial art is martial and art, therefore it means ninjutsu can be used in warfare, therefore it can be used with the term martial art, so therefore it is a martial art. So that's how the arguments are basically grouped together. So let's discuss the truth of the matter, if you like. So let's go from there. So what's the reality behind this question, okay? Why is it so important? The reason it's important is, for example, the people in that group where I said they believe martial art was warfare art, therefore ninjutsu is a warfare art, therefore it's martial art. Not those. The people who say ninjutsu is a specialized form of hand-to-hand combat. Now the problem is that a specialized form of hand-to-hand combat used by the ninja alone only appears after it could be argued it appears in 1910, however, again that's a very weak argument because it appears in one book about how ninjutsu can be used to help you. However, ninjutsu as an identifiable, specialized hand-to-hand combat called Ninpo Taijutsu appeared in the 1950s and 1960s. That's the first time it ever appears. Now, this entire argument is about history. Ninja, or shinobi, is a historical term, and it is used between 1375, to put an estimate on the date, and it's last used, or the ninja themselves are last used at the abolishment of the samurai in 1868, and of course a little bit after that as the wars and the messing around kicks off a bit. And then there is a very, very slight reoccurrence of it in the Nakano School of War, which is not really used per se, it's used as a historical footnote to teach spies in World War II. But ninjas themselves are stopped being used in 1868, if you want to put a date on it. And that is very important to this discussion because it is a historical discussion. Okay, so let's go back to the question. What does the question mean? So, is ninjutsu a martial art? That is not the question people are actually asking. That is not the question. What they mean below the question is this. They mean, I believe, they say, I believe that ninjutsu is a hand-to-hand specialized system, and that belief is ingrained in my thinking. Therefore, I want to know, I want to qualify my belief. Did ninjas use a special hand-to-hand fighting system because A, I've probably trained in it for 50 years or 40 years or 30 years or 20 years or 10 years, and it's part of my life. In fact, it's a massive part of my life. Therefore, I want you to qualify with your answer that I have not wasted my time. If I stood in a dojo doing Ninpo Taijutsu and believing I was doing a specialized hand-to-hand form of combat by ninjas for 20, 30 years, did I or did I not waste my time? That is the question here. So I want you to remember that when they say, is ninjutsu a martial art, they're not asking, does ninjutsu, so be careful here, they're not saying, does ninjutsu fall into the category described in a dictionary by the term martial art? That is not their question. The question is there a specific form of hand-to-hand combat used by the ninja themselves? Is it identifiable? That is the question. Now, what you find is you find a group of people who want to tread the line in between. They want to say, well, you don't believe and you believe. It's not about belief, guys, it's about fact. And I'll prove to you in a minute that it's pure fact that it's not a martial art. And what they want to do is straddle the line. They want to put one foot there and say, yes, it is a martial art, so therefore anybody asking the question is not offended by them. Because obviously I answer the question, no, of course it's not a martial art. And they always are offended by that. So what people want to do is say, yes, it is, but no, it's not. And here's my convoluted argument of why it is. Now, I'm going to break that argument down for you here, so let's smash open the argument. Right, when you argue about things, you have to look at the language that is used. The language used in the question, is ninjutsu, so straight away you've got a Japanese word there, is ninjutsu a martial art? So you have to qualify what is ninjutsu and what is a martial art. Ninjutsu is absolutely concrete in Japanese history. It is well established in all the documentation from the late Sengoku period to the early Edo period. Ninjutsu only starts to get a little bit crazy when the period of the samurai ends and magic's introduced and things like that, and of course in storybooks in the Edo period. So ninjutsu is, jutsu does not mean art, it means skill. It's not like art, like for example, I'm going to paint a picture, or as Krista says, I'm going to put some cans together and produce art. She says that is art. Jutsu does not mean art in that sense, it means skill with this. So you can't translate ninjutsu as art of the ninja. Of course you can, but what you're going to do is you start talking with semantics. So what I'm going to use today, I'm going to use two words which you probably know, is semantics, which is sort of like, if you want to know it, what the term means, it means creeping through an argument by twisting words very slightly to make it sound like what you want it to sound like. And the other word I'm going to use is etymology, which means the history or the origin of a word. Okay, so people try to do the semantic argument. They try to creep in through the different meanings of art and the different meanings of this, and you try and piece them together and it creates a result that you want. That is incorrect. Ninjutsu means ninja, and ninja is an identifiable figure at this point in history. It doesn't mean, of course it technically or means the art of perseverance. However, it actually means the art of the shinobi by truest definition. That is, the skills used by shinobi. The art, this is not art meaning painting, this is art meaning identifiable skills. It is a skill set. In fact, it has been argued by Draeger, apparently, this is a Wikipedia quote, but I don't know where the book from gives the actual note for it, that Draeger, that we shouldn't have used martial art to translate. It should have been martial system, or it should have been martial skills. Martial means like Mars. So Mars is the planet, but it's a god in classical terms. So in Latin it means to be like Mars, which means is to be warlike, to enjoy and to love war and to dedicate yourself to war. So martial. And martial arts, of course, is the arts of war. Nothing wrong with that definition whatsoever if you live in the 1500s up to the 1800s. That's totally fine as a definition, right? Context and history, guys. So when Japan became, popular to the world, they realized the Japanese had a martial system, and they said, oh, what's it called? And they said, well, it's Bujutsu. So they said, okay, well, we have martial arts, which is sort of like the same thing. So therefore, let's call it martial arts. And they did. So what does martial arts mean in the dictionary? Here's the dictionary form. So, a combat between two people, maybe a sport, maybe to the death, or it means arts of war, arts used in war. Okay, now, do words change in time and history? Do they change? Here's some examples of words that have changed their meaning in time and history. So, with that basic show there, you can prove that words change through time and through history. Everything changes. So does martial arts change? Yes, it does. Do the two dictionary standard forms still reference martial arts? Yes, they do. It is still a hand-to-hand combat and it's still arts of war. However, that's the dictionary. How many people go through their language through just the dictionary alone? Of course, the meanings stand. But let's give an honest answer now to a simple question. If I asked 1,000 random people, what are martial arts? What are the martial arts? What is martial arts? What does martial arts mean? How many of 1,000 people would say it is hand-to-hand combat, it's fighting, it's sport combat, it's fisticuffs? How many? Versus how many would say, oh, it's, martial means Latin for godlike and warlike of the god, and it means this. How many? None. So when we ask the question, is ninjutsu a martial art, we are not saying, is ninjutsu a Mars-like military action produced by someone? That is not the question. The question is very simple. Is ninjutsu fisticuffs? Is it fighting? Yes or no? The answer is no. It's not. We'll get onto that even more. So let's look at the Japanese, right? Let's look at the Japanese, right? Bu means warrior, military. Military is a bit of a weird translation because gun means military and bu means military, from Bushido, like military ways, military warrior ways. So, Bujutsu, does not mean martial, oh God, this is where it gets complicated, right? Bujutsu does not mean hand-to-hand combat, always. I have seen, and I have personally seen, a manual that says ninjutsu is bujutsu. Yeah, it is bujutsu. And all the Takamatsu Den people are screaming out, yeah! But bujutsu doesn't always mean fighting. It actually means military skills. It's like martial arts. It's exactly like martial arts, if you want. It's military system or skills or arts performed in, not artistic art, but arts, i.e. skills. So it's exactly the same. It has two meanings. So it's an amazing translation. Martial arts and bujutsu is a great translation because martial arts means fisticuffs and arts of the military, and bujutsu means fisticuffs and arts of the military. So the translation is perfect, yeah? However, it has two meanings. So I have seen ninjutsu is bujutsu, but the next sentence says it is not majutsu, which means, so the sentence means ninjutsu is a military skill. It is not magical ways or magical arts, okay? So, and I promise you guys, in the rest of the book, Bujutsu is translated as just to mean military ways, that type of thing. So, you cannot say, take a Japanese word from one time in history, take an English word from another time in history, put them together and say they equal the same thing, they have the same connotations, and they have never changed in time. That is a ridiculous argument, guys, okay? So let me round up to where we're at. Yep. Is ninjutsu a martial art? That is not the question. The question is ninjutsu a specialized form of hand-to-hand combat? The answer is no. We'll get to the answer why in a bit. So, but we've now established that martial arts has two meanings, Bujutsu has two meanings. But the question has one meaning. So get that down. Martial arts has two distinct meanings. Bujutsu has two distinct meanings, and many other Japanese words come into that, and you'll get some people out there who could argue all the different Japanese words, but if we take just Bujutsu, two meanings. The question has one meaning, and the meaning is always, is ninjutsu a specialized form of hand-to-hand combat used by the ninja alone? Okay? Now, to go into the Takamatsu people, or the people who come from Takamatsu, alright? This has actually been even further twisted. People have twisted this outside of what I originally said in 2008 and when I was pushing it. Some of the kata in Togakure Ryu actually have very identifiable ninja skills for escape. Throwing powders, all that, no problem. That was never an issue. The issue is that the Bujinkan organization, from the period of about 1970-ish, 70s, to about 1991 to 95, without doubt, did support and did teach ninjutsu as a specialized form of hand-to-hand combat that existed outside of the kata, okay? So, not the kata that was passed down, a very specific hand-to-hand combat performed by ninja alone, which was certificated under the term Togakure Ninpo Taijutsu, did exist for a period of about 20 years. That did exist. However, historically, there is no such thing. Of course, the Bujinkan and the Togakure have done a reversal on this now, and they say that was they invented that term, and the entire thing was invented to make it easy for Westerners to support. That again is fake, because it was published in Japanese as the same thing, but that is not the argument here. What I want to say to the Togakure people is that be careful what you think the question is. Do the kata contain correct ninjutsu? Yes, they do. Some of them do. Did the Bujinkan teach ninjutsu as a special form of hand-to-hand combat? Yes, they did. Now, why is this important? Why on earth are we discussing this at such length? Because it's important to people's emotions, that's all. It's important to emotion. Emotions and beliefs are embedded, okay? So Krista in a video says that only people who train can answer this question, and only people who train know the truth. That is absolutely incorrect, totally incorrect, because it is irrelevant what you do today on what happened in history in yesteryear. If Krista and anybody else and the Bujinkan suddenly got 100 million members, and 100 million members practice ninjutsu as a form of specialized hand-to-hand combat, or an art form as expression, as Krista would have you have it, then it would never ever change history. The way we act and what we do today cannot reverse time, and it cannot change the past. So even if absolutely everyone in the world believed ninjutsu is a specialized form of hand-to-hand combat now, it would not have been in the time period of history that we are all talking about. So absolutely that does not work in the slightest. So please ignore that. Is it an expression of yourself in today? Of course it is, yeah. If you want to express yourself through military things, yeah, whatever you want to call it, doesn't change history. So she's not wrong there, but the point is she's not right about history. You can't change history. It is what it is. So how do we know ninjutsu is not a martial art? Now, I happen to know a little bit about this subject. I can say that with a good grounding. I don't know everything about the subject, and there are many things still to discover, but I have written over 6 books on this subject. I'm actually in Japan this weekend. I was traveling Japan, and I was going on the Shinkansen bullet train to everyone else. I'm all over the place. I have my translators with me, and even yesterday I held 2 ninja scrolls in my hand. And yesterday I spoke to one of the last grandmasters of a sword school that's still... No, I apologise, it was actually today. Today, the very day. It is now 2 AM in the morning. I've just seen Krista's video and I'm thinking, this has gone too far now. So, even today I'm speaking to one of the grandmasters of one of the last sword schools to have ninjutsu in it. He doesn't declare himself a ninja, he doesn't even claim to teach it anymore. But even he says there's absolutely no way ninjutsu is a martial art. There is no serious head of an authentic Koryu school that will tell you that ninjutsu is a martial art. There is no one. Okay? So there are 6 books. Out of those books we have done translations of maybe roughly about 9 to 10 ninja scrolls. Now my team, who've been put together, do this as a job. We are professionals. That's my job. I go around the country in Japan and I, with the help of my team, get things translated and we publish them by people like the History Press, by Watkins, by well-established, respected publishers, and we have published 2,000 translated English pages on the subject of ninjutsu. And does martial arts, by that mean, does hand-to-hand combat exist in any of it? Which is identifiable as ninjutsu? No, it does not. However, situational, what's the word I'm looking for here? Is situational examples do exist, like throwing blinding powder in someone's face, or if all the lights go out, you should position yourself in such a position. If shinobi come, you should do something to defend. It never ever says what physical skill to use. Sweep the sword in this way, block in this way, twist. It never says any of that, okay? In all the pages of all the history so far, all the certified grandmasters of lineages that are certified do never and actively say it is not a martial art. The one man who I'm not going to validate his claim in any way is Mr. Kawakami, who knows a lot about ninjutsu. Not saying he's perfect. There's no way he'd even say the Ego Uennin Museum, who are pretty much the peak of Japanese collections of ninjutsu, say it's not a martial art. Then again, they're not always right, but they're definitely... What I'm trying to get across, guys, is the universal point in all places, by all people who matter, who have credentials to back them up, all of them state ninjutsu is not a specialized form of hand-to-hand combat. Okay, get it on for a long video. So let's round up now so we can try and finish this off. The question is ninjutsu a martial art? The answer is, what is your real question? The answer to that is ninjutsu a specialized form of hand-to-hand? Because if the question is, Anthony, is ninjutsu a martial art? And I say, do you mean, is it a military skill with outside of hand-to-hand combat? I mean, i.e. it's not hand-to-hand combat, it's the secondary definition of a skill of war. And they say, yes, Anthony, is it a skill of war? I say, of course it is. And then I'll say, do you mean is it the first definition, the modern definition, is ninjutsu a hand-to-hand combat system? I would absolutely categorically say, no, it is not, absolutely not. And that is backed up by thousands of pages of research, by tens, if not hundreds of people who are qualified to discuss this and say, no, it's not. And there's only pretty much one sprouting organisation that say it is. And even now, and of course I'm talking about the Bujinkan, even now they are saying it's not really. That was a development in the 1980s to basically make it simple for Western people. Again, that's another argument in total, but even they are saying, no, it's not specific hand-to-hand combat. But again, some do, some don't. So, you cannot use, so the argument, if anybody says to you, if they say, Bob, if your name is Bob, or Sue, martial means warlike, art means artistic, therefore it's an art of war, therefore ninjutsu is a martial art, therefore you can validate yourself by saying ninjutsu is a martial art, therefore it is a form of hand-to-hand combat. That is an absolute erroneous statement. It does not work and it cannot be true. You can see now, is ninjutsu a martial art? Do you mean art of war? Yes, I do. Then yes, it's a martial art, therefore it's hand-to-hand combat. It doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense, it's total rubbish. Okay? So, if anybody says to you, is ninjutsu a martial art? Say, what do you mean? and then get their true meaning out of them. So I pushed this argument back in the early days, and I made one mistake, and my mistake was using the term martial art. I would like to use this opportunity in this video to say to everyone, if you've been sent this link by me or by somebody else, then simply stop asking the question, is ninjutsu martial art? Because of all the ranting I've just done, doesn't make sense. So please change your question to, is ninjutsu a specialized hand-to-hand combat? If you ask that question, you'll get the correct answer. If you ask, is ninjutsu a martial art, you have to qualify it with which definition you mean. So I apologize for the last 5 years of this same conversation, over and over and over again, for my misuse of the term, or not misuse, but my naivety in thinking people wouldn't twist words so much. So, is ninjutsu a martial art? I wish I had said, is ninjutsu a form of hand-to-hand fighting special to the ninjas? My name is Anthony Cummins. I do this for a job. I'm a historical researcher. I have a team of very, very experienced people now behind me who are doing this day in, day out, and who are very good at this. And I can categorically say, to date, we have never ever found a special form of hand-to-hand fighting. So if you have done that and you want validation, then have validation in that you've done nice exercise, you've learned probably some stolen skills from somewhere else, from an old school, and you've met some nice people and had good times with friends. So feel okay about it. And move on now. Let's forget this question. Let's forget this argument. Let's get on with our lives, please everyone. And let's remember, ninjutsu is ninjutsu. It's very, very easy to identify. I hope you enjoyed that. Please follow me on Facebook. If you want to read a real ninja manual, I'll put the books at the end, and I hope to see you again.